Red Bull had shown some signs of struggle in the search for a quick lap time in the first 2 days, also suffering from gusty winds that disappeared on race day. In Jeddah, the wind was present, although not constant, frequently changing direction, an aspect that negatively affected some teams, especially in managing the rear. For Red Bull, it was not a smooth first day, as there are aspects that still need improvement, such as performance on a single lap. Max Verstappen has not hidden the fact that there could potentially be more concrete and faster rivals in qualifying. However, the situation is reversed on race pace, as the RB20 still stands out as the absolute benchmark. The Dutchman was the only one to consistently lap under 1 minute and 34 seconds, confirming his competitiveness with the medium tire. On the clean lap, there is still something to improve. Max Verstappen expressed overall satisfaction with the balance found, although in reality, he had to fight against excessive bottoming in fast corners for part of the day. This was in search of the right balance between maximum aerodynamic load and the limit necessary to avoid the annoying bouncing phenomena complained about by several drivers today. This issue was partially resolved in the second session through targeted interventions. The areas where he struggled the most are slow corners, such as the first chicane and the final section of the track. Throughout the first day, Verstappen had difficulty carrying speed to the apex, as if indicating a lack of grip. This is, however, also due to his specific driving style, as the Red Bull driver is very aggressive on entry, cutting with a delayed deceleration phase compared to other rivals, then attempting to close very close to the apex. It's no coincidence that Verstappen is the driver with the lowest minimum speed, although in this case the goal is to try to make a difference in the initial phase of the corner without sacrificing the exit onto the long straight. A similar approach can be noticed in the first chicane, where he tries to carry more speed in the first part of the direction change, paying for it in turn 2, where once again he records lower parameters than the direct rivals. However, this tendency to focus strongly on entry can also be appreciated in other parts of the track, such as the direction change 22, 23, where he brakes later than others, but brings a lower speed than those who, on the contrary, anticipate the braking to avoid understeer in the middle of the corner. While there was difficulty in slower corners, in contrast, in fast sections, the RB20 seems to have inherited the strengths of the preceding car. This can be particularly appreciated in the sequence from turn 6 to 10, where not only the total aerodynamic load matters, but also the consistency shown in travel. From this point of view, in the faster sections, the car from Milton Keynes still seems to be the benchmark, at least on Thursday. Aston, Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari. These are the top 4 teams on Friday, but around the prancing horse, there are still several doubts and curiosities, starting with the choice of the rear wing on qualifying day. The Italian team has opted for the most loaded option available in Saudi Arabia, but Fred Vasseur, the team principal, suggested to Sky Microphones that teams might align. It is possible that engineers decide to switch to a lighter solution, with the track having more rubber than on the first day. But it would also be unusual since they would have only one free practice session, under different conditions than the rest of the weekend, before the qualifiers on a track where confidence plays a crucial role. This choice obviously affects Ferrari on the straights, especially on the start and the stretch towards turn 13, while in the other 2 straights, the parameters are substantially in line with those of Red Bull, but slightly lighter. This situation needs to be monitored to understand how much margin the prancing horse still has on the engine side, an aspect to be considered especially in the race where there will be no DRS to compensate. As seen in Bahrain, even in Jeddah, the red car seems to perform at its best in medium and high-speed sections, rather than in very slow corners, like the first chicane, where there are some signs of difficulty in the rotation phase. This aspect could be related to suboptimal preparation, a key aspect already seen in Sakir, but also to the slight understeer in low-speed corners that Charles Leclerc had mentioned on the eve of the championship. Undoubtedly positive is the performance in the fast sequence of the first sector, where it seems to be second only to Red Bull, which has made sections like this one a great strength and a key point for the success of the past season. This is especially noticeable in the last phase of the Snake, the one at the exit of turn 10, where the RB20 on Thursday showed something more. Speaking at the end of the day, Charles Leclerc expressed great confidence in his chances for qualifying, emphasizing that if he were to bet after the free practice sessions, he would bet on a red car on pole. On this track, confidence is crucial to extract the last few hundredths of a second, and the Monegasque feels ready to fight for what slipped away a week ago. A prominent position on the starting grid would also be vital from a race perspective. Charles Leclerc was one of the few to try the long run on the used soft tire for clean lap simulations, with good references but not in line with those of Max Verstappen. Only towards the end did Leclerc significantly lower the times, demonstrating that there was still margin, but obviously, more consistency is needed during the stint. In Jeddah, the asphalt provides a lot of grip, limiting degradation, but in recent years, the softer compound has never been the preferred one for use in the race, opting for harder solutions. It will be interesting to see which direction Ferrari will take. If Red Bull and Ferrari are the major players in this early part of the season, Fernando Alonso marked the best time on Thursday in the AMR 24, showing good form since the first afternoon session. The AMR 24 seems to be a car capable of delivering a bit more satisfaction on a single lap compared to last season's car. Overall, the Spaniard expressed great satisfaction with the progress on the first day, although some elements played in favor of the quick lap, such as a slipstream used on the starting straight, where he arrived at the breaking point of turn 1 with a small but useful advantage. The real surprise, however, was seen in the fastest section, the fast sequence of the first sector. In 2023, the AMR 23 had shown signs of weakness in such fast sections, especially in the second half of the season when it was no longer able to compensate for its weaknesses compared to its rivals. Alonso had explained in Bahrain how at Aston Martin, they had sacrificed something in terms of pace in the slow corners to improve performance in faster zones. Some signs were already seen in Bahrain, but Jeddah returns a more concrete image. Of course, it is too early to give a definitive answer to the improvements of the AMR 24, which still shows a little less than Red Bull and Ferrari. But it is interesting to note that the green car has good acceleration coming out of the fast section, a sign of good balance, especially in managing the rear or more aggressive mappings as seen in Bahrain. An interesting aspect to mention is that in the FP2 race simulation, not particularly exceptional, the technicians divided the work into two parts, one in clean air, the other deliberately in traffic, to evaluate the behavior of the car even in the slipstream. If at Aston Martin they look with more confidence towards qualifying day, for Mercedes, it was a two-faced Thursday. On the one hand, Russell seemed more comfortable, despite the difficulties in handling the car in high-speed zones, also stemming from the lack of downforce of the W15 that was already noticed in Sakir. On the other hand, Lewis Hamilton collided with a decidedly wobbly rear, which brought him faster to the error. It is interesting to note that Russell made a double preparation lap, instead of a single lap like other teams. The Anglo-German team arrived in Jeddah with a very low downforce rear wing, and indeed the data shows a particularly competitive car on the straights, perhaps also due to a slightly more aggressive mapping than other teams. This can be appreciated especially in the stretch towards turn 13 and towards the last braking point, where there is a difference not only in terms of top speed but also in progression. However, the lack of aerodynamic load, which was partially seen in Bahrain in very fast direction changes, also shows up in Saudi Arabia, especially in the first sector. Compared to Aston Martin, Ferrari, and Red Bull, Mercedes is not able to bring the same speeds into the fast sequence, with the drivers forced not only to struggle with a more unstable car, but also to have to delay the throttle for longer, also playing with the brake.
A lot of time on the phone.
Not much. No, but back in the day it was so expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
It was super expensive to...
Well, Wi-Fi calling has helped that, hasn't it?
Yeah. Now,
But what about the girls? I mean, we've got F1 Academy now, is growing and growing. Do you think they're going to be interested?
I'm pushing my daughter. You know, I really want to get her into karting, but she just likes to go and watch her brother, but she's afraid. And I don't want to push her too much, so I would love to. And the younger Olivia, it's still a baby, but I mean, I will be happy. I think it's just whatever they like to do, I will just support them as much as I can and try to be with them.
Let's talk about racing genetics, Because obviously you need no introduction. Your genes are good for racing. What about Carola, your wife? Has she got racing in her family?
No, she doesn't.
Oh, okay.
She
Is she a good driver?
she's a fast driver. She likes to drive fast. Not so good, but drives fast.
Is it just me, or does it feel like everyone is either starting a side hustle or becoming their own boss lately? And you know what they're hearing a lot of? That's the sound of another sale on Shopify, the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow your business. Whether you're selling fine art or fitness wear, Shopify simplifies selling online and in person, leaving you to focus on everything else without needing to learn any new skills in design or coding. It's got all of your channels covered, from a shopfront-ready POS system to its all-in-one e-commerce platform. It even gets you selling across social media marketplaces like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So it's no surprise that Shopify is revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. And what I love about Shopify is how empowering it is for entrepreneurs, giving you complete control over your business and brand while quietly supporting you every step of the way with its award-winning help and extensive business course library. No matter what your goals are, you'll find it's full of industry-leading tools designed to ignite your growth and give you the confidence to take your business to the next level. So what are you waiting for? It's time to get serious about selling and get Shopify today. This is Possibility, powered by Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/beyondthegrid, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/beyondthegrid now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/beyondthegrid. Well, look, let's talk about driving fast on a racetrack now. As I said a moment ago, we're at the pre-season test. You've just jumped out of the RB20 for the last time. Next time you drive it will be in anger in FP1. What are your first impressions of that car?
Positive. I think we made a step forwards. There's plenty of, when you've done a test in Bahrain, it's probably one of the hardest tracks to test, because the track is changing. I'm sure you've seen the graphic. It goes like 2 seconds through the day. So it's just every run so different. So every change you make, it really has to be based on your feeling, regardless of the lap time. Sometimes you are like, this didn't feel great, but you are half a second faster. It's like, well, it does feel great, So it's quite difficult to test. But I think we just have to wait and see. I'm positive for the season, and looking forward to start.
It looks radically different to last year's car. How long did it take you to get it dialed in as you wanted it, or is it still a work in progress?
No, it did. Especially with my program I had, I basically went straight into long run, and was like just dialing in, obviously a new car, figuring how to drive it and so on. So I think we made some good progress. We've understood quite a lot. And we are so limited on testing that we did the most we could.
I remember you telling me last year that, I can't use the word weakness because it was such a dominant car, but one of the weaknesses of RB19, if we can call it that, was through the slow speed.
Yeah.
Has that been rectified? Is that better this year?
It's better. It is better, yeah.
So what kind of feeling are you getting now?
I think that we just improved in all areas. We've done a step forward. And it's all relative, I think also the competition has done a step forward, so it's going to be an interesting championship.
Look, it's so difficult to read testing. But do you think anyone is a bit closer than they were last year? Do you think we're going to have a closer fight at the front?
Yeah, definitely. I believe Ferrari are looking good from what I've seen so far. Mercedes, we haven't seen much of Aston and McLaren at the moment. And like I said, it's so hard to know, but they will be up there. I will expect quite a close fight.
And what about the change in direction of this car? When you first saw the drawing, well, when did you first see the drawings for the RB20?
Basically, was when early in January.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the
What was
first
your
time.
first reaction?
Well, when you see it in drawings, it's hard to pick up, to notice. I could see that it was a difference, but I thought it was just an evolution, rather than when I see it for the first time, it was like, wow, This is a very different concept.
And the ambition of Red Bull Racing is something that I find just so admirable. It would have been too tempting to just sit on your laurels and say, well, look, we've got the right concept here, let's just evolve what we have. But no, that the team is always wanting to break boundaries.
It's everyone at Red Bull. Really, the philosophy of the team is just pushing as much as possible, regardless of if we are winning. I think it's only Red Bull who will have just chosen to go that path, after having such a dominant year.
Nespresso, what else?
It's year 4 for you in the team. Just how comfortable are you feeling now?
A lot more comfortable, a lot better in the team, understanding a lot more the Red Bull philosophy of setups and stuff. I think every year you spend with the team is just better and better because people sort of forget how long it takes to get fully up to speed with a culture of car, of concept, because all the cars out there are really close, but how they get the lap time achieved is super different across teams.
And you're working with Hugh Bird, your race engineer. Is it just, are there Chinese walls in the team? Is it just you guys on your own, on your car number 11, and then there's Max over there and you don't have much to do with him? Or is there a really good cross-pollination of information and ideas?
It used to be a little bit more separate, I think, later on, especially as GP moved. Max is race engineer, it's our chief engineer right now, so I think everything is coming more together, trying to work a lot more closer, both cars, both engineers, and I think that has helped the team lately, and I think it's something that is going to help through this year, to have that evolution together and just being working a lot closer.
How would you describe your relationship with GP?
Well, I know GP. GP was my race engineer back in 2014 at Force India.
Yeah.
So I know him well. I mean, he's one of my friends in the sport, so I know him pretty well.
And does it sit easy with you that he's Max's race engineer as well as the chief engineer?
Yeah, I think it helps the fact that I knew GP from before, and obviously now his position, he's not just Max's race engineer, he's also chief engineer, so it helps, to have that dialogue between us.
So Checo, you've touched on, you spend a bit of the winter reflecting on what's just happened, 2023. What is a good year for you in 2024? Where's the bar for you this year?
I think just maximizing every single opportunity. It's a 24 races calendar, and just being able to, from race 1, hit the track, race by race, and have that evolution and just maximizing the opportunities, because I know if I'm able to do that, I will have a great year.
And to maximize your opportunities, is it all about qualifying? I mean, is it a lazy assumption just to look at the qualifying results from last year and go, oh, well, Checo must be struggling in qualifying, or do you think there were reasons for it?
Yeah, there were reasons for it, obviously. It's not like I forget to drive from one weekend to the other. There were reasons behind it. We understood them, and I think we are in a better shape.
So how do you set about maximizing your opportunities? Let's start on a Saturday.
I think basically just being able to focus on the right approach for the entire weekend, getting quality done properly, making that progression. I think what happened last week was that we lacked a lot of progression through the weekend, and I think being able to dial in, improving from Friday to Saturday to Sunday, making those jumps through the weekend will be key, because we always started strong, but we sort of stay there. So it's just important having that evolution and working together with the simulator as well, to try to have a good base back there in Milton Keynes.
Right. So I know you say Ferrari are close, but the assumption in the paddock is that you guys are going to be the people to beat, which means you've got to beat your teammate, obviously. What makes Verstappen so hard to beat?
I think that he's really at one with the car. Like with the team, he's at the moment of his life. He's in top form, and he comes to a weekend and he knows exactly what he needs to go fast, and keeps improving, keeps making it faster. Um, doesn't make mistakes often, and I think he's just very tough to beat, and we will try and give it a go. Last year we started really close, very closely match, and this year we'll see how we start and how we are within the first few races.
How important is it to get off on the right foot?
Very important, these first few races are super important, because it really puts you on a pair, to your teammates. So these first few races are very important.
Because as you say, those first certainly four races last year, you were right there. And when you're analysing 2023, what conclusions did you reach as to why it slipped away? Because you were on the money to begin with.
Yeah, I felt like the car was just, as it started to evolve, it just went out of me. As even on the simulator, like I will jump in and within a lap I will be like not focusing so much on getting the lap time. It was more about developing the car. But as the car developed, I will jump in the sim and I will be like just chasing the lap time, and it wasn't coming so naturally as it was coming in early in the season. So you start to make compromises to make you feel comfortable, and in that window of making me feel more comfortable, I think we made the car slower on our side, and it's something we understood.
Compromises in terms of setup.
Setup.
So you're chasing it the whole time.
Yeah.
Before you even get, you're talking about the momentum that you build up over a weekend. You feel it. There were moments last year when you would arrive at a track chasing it before you've even turned a wheel.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And how difficult was that for you?
It was difficult, because especially as you having such a dominant teammate that is winning all the time, but you are not able to extract the maximum out of the car, and it's not an easy situation. But I think it's when you have to be just mentally strong, focus on yourself, and make sure that you give your best and be able to deliver when you can.
It's you who's there, behind the scenes, making every moment special. It's why we're here, by your side, in Ramadan and beyond. Shop now at Carrefour, with prices lower than last year.
All top sportsmen use psychologists, as far as I can make out, certainly in Formula One. You did last year. How did that help you?
I think it helps to understand a perspective from the outside, because sometimes we get dragged into it so much that at times it's good to have someone that understands the sport, that knows what's going on, and can be from the outside, just having that conversation and just making you realize that probably this is wrong or this is right. Having a different perspective from someone from the outside, I think it's always helpful.
So that person that you go and see, they're not giving you advice on how to drive a racing car, clearly. So how was it somehow loosening up your brain and how you drive the car? What was being said?
No, basically, I mean, one thing is that mentally you have to be strong and making sure that you focus on the right stuff, because in Formula One, there are so many distractors around and people that are experts all around the world, and they know exactly what's going on, and but you are inside and you have no clue. So just making sure you focused on your job is the main key, and don't let any noise or any of the outside noise influencing any of your decision. I think that's the key.
We're all used to seeing the drivers turn up to the races kitted out in their best outfits, each with their own unique style. But there's one thing all great clothing has in common for you to look and feel your best, and that's a well-tailored item that fits your shape perfectly. And that's why I'm delighted to have been introduced to Indochino. It can be so hard to find good-fitting items that still feel comfortable. But Indochino makes fully customized clothing that doesn't require a trip to the tailor to get that perfect fit. You can measure yourself at home using their step-by-step guide to create your personalized profile, or just visit a showroom where they do it for you and get a custom suit starting at just $399. I used Indochino's online service to try it out and size myself up for one of their Blue Haley cotton stretch shirts. And let me tell you, it was so easy to place an order. I've never done anything like this before, but the website walks you through every single measurement you need, which only takes about 10 minutes. And when it comes to customization, they've thought about everything from the length you need to the buttons, the collar, and the pockets. And you can choose whether you want your cuffs angled or a classic French cuff. You're really getting that tailored experience with Indochino without the luxury price tag. And all those little details you might not normally consider really do make for a stylish, personalized statement. I can't wait to try my shirt when it arrives, and it will, of course, make an appearance in the FIA Drivers' Press Conference or on one of the upcoming Beyond the Grids, which can be watched on F1's YouTube channel this season. So, level up your game with Indochino. Go to Indochino.com and use the code GRID to get 10% off any purchase of $399 or more. That's 10% off at Indochino, INDOCHINO.com with the code GRID.
Hi, Beyond the Grid listeners, it's Lawrence Barretto here. So we've had a first look at the upgraded cars for 2024, and we could very well see a fight on our hands this season. With F1 TV Pro, you can experience every angle live. That means live streaming and riding on board. Plus join me and the team for exclusive weekend shows. The best part, you can watch how you want, anytime, anywhere, on any device. Get F1 TV Pro for an unmissable 2024 season. Sign up now for your 7-day free trial. F1 TV Pro is only available in select territories and T's and C's apply, so check out the website for more details.
You've been in F1 since 2011. Can we talk about the outside noise? How much more noise is there now than there was 257 races ago when you started?
There's always pressure in Formula One. You have to remember that we are at the pinnacle of the sport. So there's always pressure. You always have to deliver at all conditions, at all races. That's normal. But at Red Bull, it certainly has changed a bit. There's a reason why the lots of drivers here haven't survived. Because the amount of pressure, the amount of focused on yourself, they don't measure the same, all the teams. I feel like the way how they measure Red Bull is different to anyone else.
And how has social media ramped up the noise that we're talking about? Because when you started,
Yeah, there was
much
no,
less, wasn't it?
there was no. Yeah, you're right. I think quite a lot. I think I'm privileged, because I'm a bit older and I grew up without social media, and yeah, it can be really toxic. So I'm not a big fan of that. So I always try to stay away from it, and making sure that I'm able to come here, do my job, give my everything, prepare as best as I can, and that's all I can do. I can try 1,000 times, but at the end of the day, the most important is that you with your team try to deliver, and the outside noise will always be there, and there's nothing you can do about it. But it's important to make sure that you are able to shut it down.
And how much noise is coming out of Mexico?
Well, a lot. The expectations back home, it's big. The support I get is pretty big. So it's just great. I think being a Latin American driver in Formula One, it's a big thing. Because but that comes with a lot of people behind. And I'm very privileged to have such a support from home, and I can only say that it's a great privilege to have.
Gotta go hard, I ain't
us a little bit more about your fame in Mexico, because I think when we go there, you are literally staring at us from every billboard.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
true that you even had a burner mobile phone at the race last year, just to have a different phone, just to cut the noise back? And
Yeah.
is that true?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's a very intense weekend.
Yeah.
The energy from Mexico. It's a big thing. Probably for the European drivers, they're a lot more used to have F1 drivers here and there, every now and then. But for my country, for Latin America, it's something like you don't get a lot, and it's a big thing back home because I mean, just sounds crazy, having a Mexican in Formula One. It's quite a big thing, and I think, I mean, in our history, we've only had 5 or 6 drivers in the sport, and it's really hard to make it into the sport. But to have a successful career in Formula One, it's another level.
So come on then. What would it mean to you to do the biz at the Mexican Grand Prix? You finished on the podium, but that win, what would it... I'm looking at you now on the podium, on the middle step. I think there would be tears.
Well, you never know how you will react to it, but it will be a big dream for me, to be able to win at home, in front of my home crowd, will mean a lot.
Do you dream about that?
It's a dream. Yeah, it's definitely a dream, a big one. I've won great races, historic races, but I think one that I'm missing is winning at home.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Jenson Button never won the British Grand Prix. And he always says, I'll give up so many of the other races just to have won at Silverstone. Do you feel the same way about Mexico?
Yeah, it is because winning at home is something a lot more special than anything else.
And how do you manage the expectation? Because, as you say, you're mobbed everywhere you go. 90% of the people at the racetrack are there to see one man. Does that give you energy? How do you just keep a lid on things and make sure that you drive as you know you can drive and not let it spill over? And
it's again the same as the whole season, when you are in Formula One.
It's different. It's Mexico. It's Checo in Mexico.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's a championship. There are 24 races out there. When Mexico finishes off, it gives them same amount of points. If there is a race that you want to do even better, it's obviously your home. But the best way to do it is by focusing on track, focusing on the right stuff, because it's so easy to get distracted from it and get carried away from it.
But how do you stay focused? I'm fascinated by you. It's interesting, your entourage, the people that you take with you to the races, is very similar to the one that you had back in the day. There's, Lewis has been with you since the early days. Is it Xavi, your trainer, still comes to... How important is it for you to just have those old friends, old faces around? Does it help keep you grounded? Does it help keep you focused?
Yeah, but also, having the contact with your race team, making sure that, I always take them for dinner when we are in Mexico, because I like to remember myself and them that we're here for Formula One, and Formula One takes priority above anything else. So that is the main thing for us.
What restaurant?
We're always changing the restaurants, but the last 3 or 4 years we have always done a team dinner in Mexico.
With you. Does Max turn up, or is it just your side of the garage?
Sometimes, no, the whole team. I invite the whole team, and Max has been to a couple of them.
Cool. Just while we're on the topic of Mexico, I don't know how into music you are, but I've been told that you've featured in 2 music videos in the last 12 months. One with Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
This
Bad
is no
Bunny.
disrespect to Bad, but I haven't heard of Bad Bunny. My kids might have done, I don't know. Just tell me about Bad Bunny and the making of the vid.
Yeah, he was back in Monaco, and he he was there, and some bits were recorded and were into his song, I think, which is called Monaco. And yeah, I mean, Bad Bunny is huge in Latin America. Um, yeah, it's a phenomenon back in America.
And there's even is there a song about you that has also been quite successful?
There've been few songs in the past
How does that
years.
feel? You've got songs being written about you, Checo.
Yeah.
Are they love songs?
No, they're not love songs. It's there's another one from Karin Leon as well that is also a very famous Mexican singer, and there's another one or two more that yeah, they've done about me.
Can you sing?
I'm really bad singer. I don't want to hurt the audience.
Just a line now? No.
No, I don't
I
want to
can feel a
hurt
duet coming on maybe with Charles Leclerc.
Yeah.
You know, Charles just released
A new album, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked him earlier where he is in the charts, and he refused to tell me. I don't know. I bet. Come on, we all know you guys are so competitive. He's probably there every morning looking to see where he is on the charts.
I'm sure he's looking at it.
Got to be number one.
Yeah.
So there's songs about you. Aren't there curries about you? There's a curry house in Oxford in
Curry
the
House
UK.
is not about me. It's just in the menu. It's one of my friends.
What Checo Perez? What is it? Is it
It's called Checo Perez Fiesta, which is a dish. It's a menu.
Right. What is it?
It's a little bit more spicy curry.
Of course.
Yes. Quite tasty, actually.
Yeah.
It's near Silverstone. It's a curry place that I've been going since I was in Formula 3 days.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It's like going home.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's next to Silverstone, in Brackley.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, a little bit more about your preparations. You know, I mentioned earlier 257 races. You're not the new kid on the block anymore. But have you done anything different in your preparations this year? Just what do you tweak it? Like Fernando Alonso, for example, has changed his diet. He says he's going to deal with the jet lag differently this year. I'm not sure how he's going to do that. But are you going to do anything differently?
Yeah. Firstly, physically, I try to put more training phase, more training regime in place for the start of the season, because then later on it's all about maintaining. So just trying to